Let me say something that might completely change how you see yourself. You're not overreacting. You're being triggered by change. And I know how quickly your mind goes somewhere else. I'm too emotional. I need calming down. I need to calm down. Why am I like this? I thought I'd worked through this already. But what if none of that is actually true? What if what you're experiencing right now isn't a sign that something is wrong with you, but a sign that something in your life is shifting? Because here's what most people don't realize. When your life starts changing, your emotional system doesn't instantly stabilize with it. It reacts, it gets activated. And that activation can feel like sudden overwhelm, emotional spikes, overthinking, wanting to pull back, feeling too much out of nowhere. And this is where people misread themselves. They think, this means I'm not ready. This means something is wrong. This means I need to fix how I feel. No, it means your system is adjusting because your nervous system is wired for familiarity, not growth. So when things start shifting, even in a positive direction, your system can respond like something is wrong. And that's what you're feeling. Not failure, activation. Now, before we go deeper, let me ground you in what we do here. If you're new, hi, I'm Cherry. I'm a spiritual life coach, numerologist, and energy alchemist. And I help people stop people pleasing, stop spiraling in their emotions, and actually learn how to stay grounded in the version of their life that they're trying to step into. Because this isn't about controlling your emotions. It's about understanding them so that they stop controlling you. And April is all about energy body thought, the neutral mind, the part of you that can feel everything without collapsing into it, the part of you that can observe what's happening without immediately reacting. So if you've been feeling triggered, overwhelmed, or like your emotions are all over the place lately, you're not alone and you're not doing it wrong. You're just in a moment of expansion that your body hasn't fully stabilized in yet. And today I'm going to show you exactly how to stay grounded inside of that. And before we go any deeper, I would love for you to hit the subscribe button and tap the notification bell because it really helps the channel grow and get this to people that really need to hear it. Because this is a space where you stop reacting to your life and start actually holding it. All right, let's break down what emotional triggers actually are and why they show up so strongly during change. Now let's strip this right back because the word trigger gets thrown around a lot, but most people don't actually understand what it means. A trigger is not the situation. It's your body's response to something that it feels familiar. That's it. So when something happens, a conversation, a tone of voice, a situation you didn't expect, or a shift in your environment, your body doesn't just respond to what's happening right now. It responds to everything that situation reminds it of. Past experiences, old patterns, emotional memories, previous moments where you felt unsafe. And it does that instantly, before you have time to think, before you have time to make sense of it, which is why it feels so intense, because what you're feeling isn't just about the present moment. It's layered. And this is where people get it wrong. They think this reaction is too much for what's happening. And they're right, but not in the way they think. It's not too much. It's just not only about now. And instead of understanding that, they judge it. I shouldn't feel like this. I thought I'd healed this. Why is this still affecting me? But here's the truth. Triggers are not proof that you haven't healed. They are proof that something is still alive in your system. Something that hasn't been fully integrated yet. And that doesn't mean you failed. It means your body is giving you information. And this is where Energy Body 4, the neutral mind, changes everything. Because instead of reacting to the trigger or judging yourself for it, you observe it. This feels intense. This feels familiar. This is activating something in me. And that shift is powerful because when you stop treating the trigger as the problem, you stop trying to suppress it and you start learning from it. Because every trigger is showing you something, a pattern you've been repeating, a boundary you haven't been holding, a belief you're still carrying, and an emotional response your body hasn't updated yet. And when you can see it like that, it stops feeling like something is wrong with you and starts feeling like something is being revealed to you. And that is where your power is. Not in avoiding triggers, but in understanding them. Because once you understand them, you stop being controlled by them. Now here's the part most people don't understand. Your triggers don't show up more during change by accident. They show up more because change activates your system. Because your nervous system is built for one thing: familiarity, not growth, not expansion, not becoming your highest self. Familiarity. So when your life starts shifting, when you start doing things differently, when you start stepping into a new version of yourself, your system doesn't immediately go, "This is amazing." It goes, "This is different." And different gets translated as potentially unsafe, even if the change is positive, even if it's exactly what you've been asking for, even if it's aligned, your system still reacts. And that reaction shows up as emotional triggers, because now you're no longer operating inside your old identity, and your system doesn't have a stable reference point yet. So everything feels louder. Things that would have affected you before suddenly Things that wouldn't have affected you before suddenly do. Small situations feel bigger. Emotions feel stronger. Your reactions feel faster. And this is where people get confused. They think, "I was doing better. Why does this feel harder?" But it's not harder. It's just more visible. Because when you start changing, you disrupt the patterns that used to keep everything predictable. And when those patterns are disrupted, your system starts looking for stability. And that's when triggers come up. Not to set you back, but to show you this is where your system still doesn't feel safe. And that's important, because you can't stabilize something you're not aware of. And this is where Energy Body 4, the neutral mind, becomes your anchor again. Because instead of reacting to the intensity, instead of trying to suppress it, you see it. This is happening because things are changing. This is why my system is adjusting. This isn't a problem, it's a process. And that one shift changes how you move through it. Because now you're not trying to get rid of the trigger. You're understanding why it's there. And when you understand it, you stop fearing it. And when you stop fearing it, you stop being controlled by it. And that's where stability begins. Now, here's where we need to be really honest. Triggers are not the problem. Your reaction to them is. Because the trigger itself is just information. It's your body saying, something here feels familiar. Something here feels unsafe. Something here needs attention. But what most people do is they don't stay with that information. They react to it instantly without even realizing. And that reaction is what keeps the pattern alive. Because when you react automatically, you reinforce the same response. Overthinking, shutting down, people-pleasing, over-explaining and pulling back. And every time you do that, you're telling your system, this is how we handle this. So the next time it happens, it does the same thing. Faster, stronger, more automatic. And that's how triggers turn into cycles. Not because of the trigger itself, but because of the reaction that follows. And this is where Energy Body 4, the neutral mind, changes everything. Because the neutral mind doesn't react. It observes. It creates space between what you feel and what you do next. And that space is where your power is. Because in that space, you're no longer on autopilot. You're aware. You can see this is a trigger. This is my usual pattern. This is what I normally do next. And instead of immediately following it, you pause, even for a second. And that second, that's where everything changes, because that's where you interrupt the cycle. That's where you stop reinforcing the old response. That's where you give yourself the opportunity to choose something different. Not perfectly, not dramatically, but differently. And that's all it takes, because change doesn't come from eliminating triggers. It comes from changing how you meet them. And the moment you stop reacting and start observing, you stop being controlled by your triggers and start learning from them. And this is where everything becomes real, because it's easy to understand this when you're calm. It's different. It's different when you're actually in it, when your chest is tight, when your thoughts are racing, when your emotions feel louder than you want them to. That's the moment that matters. So we're going to practice what to do right there. Bring your awareness into your body. You don't need to close your eyes unless you want to. Just notice your breath for a moment. Now think of a recent situation where you felt triggered. Not the most overwhelming one, just something recent. And let yourself feel into it slightly. Notice what happens in your body. Where do you feel it? Your chest? Your stomach? Your throat? Just observe. No judgment. Now instead of trying to change it, we stay with it. Take a slow breath in and a long breath out. Again, slow inhale, long exhale. Now place one hand on your body if it helps ground you and say internally, I am safe in this moment, not in the future, not forever, just right now. I am safe in this moment. Take another breath. Now bring in the neutral mind. Instead of asking what's wrong, how do I fix this? Why do I feel like this? I want you to ask yourself, what is actually happening right now? And the answer might be simple. My body feels activated. My chest is tight. My thoughts are moving fast. Let that be enough. Because when you name what's happening without attaching a story to it, you reduce the intensity. Now say, I don't need to react to this right now. Feel how that feels. Because most of the time, you're not reacting to the situation. You're reacting to the feeling. And when you don't react immediately, you create space. Take another breath and remind yourself, this will pass. Because activation is temporary, but your reaction can create something lasting. So we slow it down. We stay. We let the wave move through without trying to control it. And this is how you build regulation, not by avoiding triggers, but by staying connected to yourself, inside them. Now gently bring your awareness back. Feel your body, feel your breath. Feel the space around you and just notice. You didn't need to escape that. You didn't need to fix it. You just needed to stay, because the more you practice this, the more your system learns. I don't need to react to feel safe. And that's what changes everything. Now, this is the shift that changes your entire relationship with your emotions, because for a long time, you've probably believed something like this. If I feel too much, I'll lose control. If I get triggered, I won't handle it well. If my emotions rise, something will go wrong. So what do? You try to manage them. You try to suppress them. You try to stay in control. But here's the truth. You're not actually afraid of your emotions. You're afraid of what happens after them. The reaction, the spiral, the overthinking, the regret. So your system learned. Don't feel too much. It's not safe. But what you've seen today is something different. You can feel and stay. You can feel the activation and not collapse into it. You can feel the intensity and not let it control your behavior. And that changes everything, because now your identity starts to shift from I'm someone who gets overwhelmed to I'm someone who can hold what I feel. Feel the difference in that. It doesn't deny the emotion. It expands your capacity to be with it. And when your identity becomes, I can feel without losing control, you stop fearing your triggers. You stop trying to avoid your emotions. You stop seeing them as something you need to fix. Instead, you trust yourself inside them. You trust that you can stay grounded. You trust you don't need to react immediately. You trust that the feeling will move through you without defining you. And that's what creates stability, not controlling your emotions, but being able to experience them without losing yourself. And this doesn't happen overnight. It happens in moments, moments where you feel something rise and you don't shut it down, moments where you feel triggered and you don't react automatically, moments where you stay present, even when it would be easier to escape. And every time you do that, you reinforce the identity. You show your system, I can handle this. I don't need to avoid this. I'm safe inside what I feel. And over time, that becomes your new baseline. Not fear, not overwhelm, stability. Because the goal isn't to stop feeling. The goal is to become someone who can feel and stay grounded at the same time. Now just take a moment and really feel into what you've just moved through. And really feel into what we've just moved through. All those moments where you felt too much, too reactive, too emotional, too overwhelmed. What if none of that was actually the problem? What if the problem was never your emotions, but the fact that you were never shown how to hold them? Because when you don't know how to stay grounded inside what you feel, of course it feels overwhelming. Of course it feels like too much. Of course it feels like something is wrong. But now you've seen something different. You can now feel and stay. You can be activated and not collapse. You can experience emotions without it controlling what you do next. And that changes everything. because now your emotions aren't something to fear. They're something you can move through, something you can learn from, something you can hold without losing yourself. And that's the real shift. Not becoming less emotional, becoming more grounded, becoming more present, becoming someone who can experience life fully without being taken out by it. And I want you to really take this in. You are not too much. You've just been operating without the tools to hold what you feel. And now you're learning. And that's what this moment is. Not a breakdown, a recalibration. Now, if you've been listening to this and thinking, this is exactly what I struggle with. I feel everything, but I don't always know how to stay grounded in it. This is exactly the work we go into, because this isn't about suppressing your emotions. It's about learning how to regulate, understand, and stay grounded inside them, so they stop controlling your life. And if you want to understand your emotional patterns on a deeper level, why you react the way you do, and how your energy and numerology influence your emotional responses, your numerology roadmap breakthrough session will give you that clarity. The link is in the description box below. And before we go, I want you to ask yourself one question. What if nothing is wrong with how I feel, and I just need to learn how to hold it? And this time, don't dismiss it. Just let it land in your body. Because the moment you stop fighting your emotions is the moment you start mastering them. So stay close, because you're not here to feel less. You're here to hold more. And that's where everything shifts. So I'll see you in the next video. Bye for now.